Fool's trade. There was once a weaver who worked from home, weaving cloth. Merchants would come and trick him into selling the cloth at a much lower price. His wife suggested, "Why don't you go to the market and sell the cloth there?" The suggestion was very appealing to the weaver. He secured his boat well, tying a long rope to it and fastening it to the dock. At night, he loaded the cloth onto the boat and, without untangling the rope, started rowing. The current of the river was strong. As he rowed, the current would push the boat back, but he kept thinking he was making progress. However, despite his efforts, he didn't move an inch from his starting point. In the morning, the weaver's wife came to the river to fetch water. The weaver asked, "Mother Lakshmi, do you know which dock this is?" His wife immediately recognized him, and calling him mother was very rude. So she grabbed a broom and rushed to hit him. "What are you saying?" she yelled. After a moment, the weaver recognized his wife. The weaver said, "What happened to me? I rowed the boat all night, but I couldn't even move an inch from my dock." His wife pointed with her finger and said, "Did you untie the rope before rowing?" The boat was still tied to the pole. The weaver responded, "Oh, what a big mistake." The House of Tension. One man had 2 wives. It said, "A house with 2 wives, may God protect it." The poor man was caught in a big struggle. His wives were always on alert, looking for any reason to blame each other. If one wife was given a task, she would always try to shift the blame onto the other wife. One day, the husband went to the field with his plow. Both wives were busy arguing and did not cook. By noon, when the husband returned home, there was no food. There was a garden of eggplants that needed watering. One wife said, "You water it," while the other said, "No, you do it." As a result, the eggplants were left dry under the hot sun, and they withered in just one day. After much thought, the husband divided the work between the 2 wives and instructed each one to cook on alternate days. Today was the older wife's turn to cook, while the younger one was watching. As soon as the older wife stepped aside, the younger one secretly added a lot of salt to the curry. When they sat down to eat, the food was inedible due to the excess salt. The older wife got the blame, but she realized what had happened. The next day, it was the younger wife's turn to cook. After the older wife's bad reputation from the previous day, the younger one tried to cook a delicious meal, hoping to get praise. She added spices and prepared everything beautifully. As soon as the younger wife went to check something else, the older wife added a huge amount of chili powder into the curry. That day, no one could eat the food because it was too spicy, and everyone blamed the younger wife. This pattern continued. Too much spice one day, too much salt the next, and too much turmeric the day after. The poor husband was unable to figure out who was causing the trouble. On the day the younger wife cooked, the curry was so salty it was unfit for consumption. But the husband decided to outsmart them. He took a bite and said, "This curry doesn't have any salt at all. How can you eat curry without salt?" The older wife responded, "Oh, she didn't add salt at all. I secretly added a pinch of it while she wasn't looking, so that it was still edible. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to eat today." At that, the husband grabbed the older wife by the hair and slapped her. "So, you're the one adding salt in secret, huh?" He then scolded the younger wife. "I know what's going on now. You two are blaming each other by secretly adding salt, spice, or whatever else into each other's dishes. From now on, if there's too much salt or spice in the food, I'll grab both of your hair and slap you both." From that day onward, both wives started cooking properly. The true lazy ones. In ancient times, kings and rulers had many strange habits. Unlike today, where government spending is scrutinized, back then, rulers spent money however they pleased. No one could question them. In every royal palace, there were a few lazy people. The kings would find great amusement in watching these lazy people. Sometimes there were competitions between kings to see whose palace had the laziest person. If a king had the laziest person, his reputation would be well known. One time, it was observed that all the people in the king's kingdom had stopped working. Everyone had gathered at the king's laziness quarters, because they knew that as long as they were there, they could eat as much rice, fish, milk, and butter as they wanted. Why work when there's free food? The king was in a dilemma. He asked his minister, "Look, minister, no one is working in my kingdom anymore. They've all come to my laziness quarters. Feeding these lazy people is eating up all the royal funds. Can you think of a solution?" The minister folded his hands and said, "Don't worry, your majesty. I'm already taking care of it." That afternoon, as all the lazy people were lounging in their beds in the laziness quarters, the minister ordered that the room be set on fire. The fire made the lazy people jump up and run away. However, 2 people remained lying down as before. As the fire came closer, One of the lazy men lazily muttered, "How hot the sun is today." The other lazy man, still lying down, responded, "What's the use of looking at the sun? It doesn't matter if it's shining or not." The king realized then that these two were the true lazy ones. His people carried them out of the fire and saved them. From that day on, these two stayed in the royal laziness quarters. A lesson in laughter. Recently, my wife has been changing her Facebook profile picture frequently. One in the morning, one in the afternoon, and another at night. I said, "What's going on, honey? Why are you changing your profile picture so often? You're not a movie star." She rolled her eyes and said, "I'm not like you, sitting idle all day. There's a reason behind my actions. I'm increasing my followers." I replied, "Well, your profile is already flooded with followers. Whatever picture you upload, it immediately gets hits, likes, and comments flooding in like a storm." She said, "I want more. More. I want to be a celebrity." I said in disbelief, "Just by uploading pictures on Facebook, you'll become a celebrity? How funny. A real-life legend." Annoyed, she snapped, "You idiot. It's not just about the pictures. I'm getting recognized. I'm going to publish a book at the upcoming book fair." I jumped up from my seat and said, "What are you going to publish?" She replied excitedly, "A book. Once my followers buy it, you'll see. The book fair will be buzzing. I'll become a famous celebrity." I sat down again, stunned. My wife, writing a book? The woman who can't even make a shopping list properly? If you ask her to write ginger, she'll write donkey instead. And if you ask her to write garlic, she'll write sit. And now she's going to write a book. One day she actually posted a status on Facebook, "Hey friends, how are you? I have some exciting news. I'll be at the book fair soon with an amazing book. Will you all stay with me?" Likes and comments started pouring in. Within an hour, there were hundreds of comments. One guy wrote, "We're in. Madam, you publish the book and we'll handle the sales. Just don't make the book a pandemic." Another one wrote, "Madam, I can already see your book becoming a huge hit at the fair. People will swarm like locusts to buy it." Someone else wrote, "You've made me lose sleep. I can't stop thinking about when your book will be released." Rest assured, madam, your book will be the best seller of the fair. Her followers were growing rapidly. In just a few months, my wife had far more followers than I did. I've been writing on Facebook and in newspapers for years. No one gives a damn. I spend all day writing and get only a few likes and comments. And the comments I do get are mostly rude. People have long stopped reading newspapers. One day, a reader wrote, "Looking at your profile picture, you look like Hanuman. How did you become a writer with that face? Maybe you'd fit in as a rickshaw or van driver." Readers occasionally remind me, if I had spent my time raising goats instead of writing, I could have been a better shepherd. One day, my wife came to me and asked, "What kind of book should I write? A story, a novel, or poetry?" I said, "Write whatever you like." "But who's going to publish your book? Where will you find a publisher?" She rolled her eyes and said, "Am I like you, a dumb ox? Publishers are already lining up behind me." I was taken aback. "What? Publishers are already lining up for you? I've spent my whole life running after publishers but never got a book published, and now you?" I said, "Look, honey, you've never written even 2 lines of poetry in your life. You're always busy with beauty routines. What would you even write? Plus, if you publish a book, real writers will be upset. People will think they can write like you." She hugged me and said sweetly, "Come on, write a few poems for me." Poetry books are really popular these days. I thought, this is insane. Even if you bomb my stomach with an atomic bomb, no poetry will come out. Writing poetry is tough. It requires talent. You can't even do this. Writing stories is impossible for you too. If I write a story, people criticize me. Hearing this, she started crying, disappointed. So does this mean my book won't be published? I can't become a celebrity? What will I tell the publisher? I handed her a tissue and said, "You know what? Write a book on beauty routines. Books like that are really popular these days. You don't have to do much, just write about how to do beauty routines every day. That will work." She jumped up and said, "Good idea. Why didn't I think of that?" "Thank you." She immediately ran off to write her book. I sat down feeling gloomy. My wife is going to publish a book, and me. One day, my sister-in-law called and said, "Brother-in-law, is it true that she's writing a book?" I said, "Yeah, I'm seeing it too." She replied, "What kind of book will she write?" She failed Bengali in the SSC exams. If you asked her to write a composition on a cow, she would end up writing about a goat. How did she get this idea? I said, "I have no idea. Before the book fair, my wife said, "The book is finished. What should I name it?" I replied, "Since it's about beauty routines, just name it something like that." She said, "I can't think of a name. Can you help me?" I suggested, "How about Come Let's Do Beauty? Sounds catchy, right?" She said, "Perfect. That name has a unique charm." I replied, "It's a good name, but who's going to buy your book? Most of your followers are men. You wrote a beauty book. Do you think they'll buy it?" She laughed and said, "Are you serious? Men are into beauty routines now too. Watch, this book will be a bestseller." For a few days, my wife ran ads for the book on Facebook. One day I heard the second edition was already out. It's even the #1 book on Rockmari, a local online store. I called the publisher and said, "How is it that the second edition is out already and the book fair hasn't even started yet? How did the first edition finish so fast?" The publisher scolded me. "Come on, man. We started with the second edition. We've already done a great job." I said, "But I've been writing for so long. Can I get just one book published?" The publisher replied irritably, "We don't print just any writer's work. We look at the quality first." Hearing that, a deep sigh escaped me. A week after the fair began, I saw an ad again. The second edition of Come Let's Do Beauty is nearly sold out. Many readers are ordering online. Only a few copies left. Do you want the third edition? We don't care either way. If you want it, we'll print it. Every day my wife would get up, do her beauty routine, and then rush off to the book fair. She'd come home late at night, changing into a different sari each time. She used to respect me, but now I respect her. She's a celebrity. One day I said, "What's the deal, honey? Are you going to sell books or are you doing a fashion show? Looks like you just came from the beauty parlor." She snapped back, "You're such a fool. How many TV cameras do you think I've had to deal with? How could I maintain any dignity wearing the same sari all the time? After all, I'm your wife, right? Who else's dignity is at stake?" Unbeatable logic. There was nothing more to say. I saw pictures of her with various people on Facebook. Readers taking selfies with her while holding her book. Even old grumpy guys were buying the book to get a selfie with her. A few days later, the publisher announced, "Due to overwhelming demand, we are forced to release the third edition of Come Let's Do Beauty." One Friday, I showed up at the stall. The publisher was sitting there smiling. My wife, looking like a movie star, was taking selfies with readers. She was searching for readers like a hungry tiger looking for prey. Anyone who bought her book got an autograph, even if they didn't ask for it. Meanwhile, established writers sat with their books getting no attention. It hit me. Wow, my wife looks gorgeous. I don't even recognize her. I fell in love with her all over again. I asked the publisher, "How's the book doing?" The publisher grinned widely and said, "It's doing fantastic. Sales are off the charts." A young boy came with his mother. He showed her the book and said, "Mom, I want to buy this one." I said, "Why do you want to buy this book?" He replied, "It's beautiful." I realized he liked the cover. An old man bought the book and took a selfie with my wife. I asked, "What book did you buy, Uncle?" He said, "A novel." I replied, "This is not a novel, it's a beauty book." The old man laughed and said, "Oh, this is a beauty book? No problem. The writer is so beautiful, I'm sure the writing will be great."